Welcome to Pillars. This is the podcast of the 363rd ISR Wing. Our mission here is to find short resilience topics so you can fix any challenges you have and finish a better wingman and airman. Today we're going to look at the social pillar or social domain, but we're going to begin with looking at these domains of resilience. I'm here with Dr. Jerry Walker, and I'm Chaplain Jim Bridgham. Dr. Walker, can you talk about what these four domains are briefly?
Sure. So we've got the mental pillar, the physical pillar, the social pillar, and the spiritual pillar. And myself as a psychologist and you as a chaplain, we actually work with people on all four of these pillars, and they're really self-explanatory. Within the physical pillar, you've got everything from your physical fitness to your diet, your exercise, how you're caring for your body through sleep and stress management, things of that nature. In the social pillar, you've got your relationships, so your friendships, your family relationships, your intimate relationships, even your coworker relationships. And all these play a significant role in how you feel, how you think, and how you act. You want to cover the other two?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing I'm going to hit is spiritual. And spiritual is a great thing as a chaplain because spirituality is really unique. Each one of us has our own spirituality, whether you recognize it or not. Some of it can be religious in nature. Some of it can be just the desire to go out and spend some time in nature. The Japanese culture has something called forest bathing, which is very spiritual to them.
And what I like about the spiritual domain is not everybody feels that they themselves are spiritual or religious, for that matter, but you can still tap into a lot of very important existential facets within that spiritual domain, particularly when it comes to your values and your sense of meaning or purpose. And I think within the Air Force, a lot of us have that without even realizing it, whether it's the Air Force core values or our own personal values, how those come out in what we do on a day-to-day basis, and how that guides our passions that give us that sense of meaningfulness in our life. That is spirituality.
You're exactly right. And I think sometimes we're a little afraid of spirituality, and we think it's going to bite us, and it's just not. It's something that's part of us and those values. The final piece, mental, is what we're going to go over. And the great thing about mental is that idea of growth in our intellectual capabilities and just some of the things we do. And we're going to hit mental in a greater depth in a next episode, in a follow-on episode. But for now, we wanted to hit some things in the social pillar or social domain this week, and specifically about loneliness. We were talking earlier this week about a deployment where I'd had a time of going out and I'm around all these people, and yet I was intensely lonely. I have social media I'm connecting with, talking with family members and friends, lots of connectivity, and yet very, very lonely. And I noticed that it wasn't just myself having that experience. There were many airmen around me who, although, again, surrounded by a lot of folks in an intense operational environment, just didn't know where to go to find that sense of community.
And you're generally kind of an extroverted guy. And so to feel that sense of loneliness, I mean, that sounds like that was something different than what you'd experienced before.
It was, and it's weird because you're surrounded by people and connected, and yet you're not connecting with these folks. And apparently among millennials, this is actually a pretty large problem.
Yeah, believe it or not, it has become more of an issue lately, and part of that is because of the wonderful advent of technology over the past 10, 15 years, specifically with the internet. And while that air connectivity has helped us in a lot of great ways, the explosion of this technology has really outpaced our ability to adaptively evolve, from a social and a psychological standpoint, to where it's having a lot of consequences that we really couldn't have anticipated. And the reason why this is hitting the millennials particularly is because as the internet came into its own and we had certain social media atmosphere set up amongst the Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and the like. The millennial generation grew up with these, and so it hit them at a critical point in their social development during that early to late adolescence and young adulthood time frame. Whereas people who did not have that when they were growing up, they had a lot more person-to-person interaction. And what we're seeing with, particularly the people who were born, about 20 or so years ago, is they're growing up with all this social media, and it somewhat forms the basis for their social relationships.
Well, and I'm noticing people can be kind of almost afraid of going out and finding in-person relationships. Instead, they'll maybe go to a video game and have a group of folks they play with online, or things like that, which creates some community, but it's not that same in person.
Well, yeah, and I don't want to come off as like I'm damning social media or anything like that.
I'm not either.
I know you and I are both on it, and it does serve a great purpose for connecting people. But I think there are a few things you need to keep in mind when you are connecting with people, especially primarily connecting with people this way. Is it's like faux socialization. You get the sense that you're interacting with other people, but really it's a passive sort of interaction. Doesn't take much to scroll down your news feed or to send messages back and forth with people. So it can feel like you're socializing, but at the end of the session, you actually can feel more lonely than when you started. It's almost like when you're really hungry and you have a little snack. It makes you maybe fulfills you for that moment, that immediate gratification, but then afterwards you haven't really fixed the problem. Another issue with social media is that there's a lot of image management. So people will try to represent themselves in a very favorable way, for better or for worse, because they want to show off the great things in their lives and their great accomplishments. But what this does is it gives us an inauthentic representation of people's lives as a whole and sets this extremely high bar for what is considered the average or normal life experience. And so if you're going through a tough time, if you're having difficulties at work or at home or in other areas of your life, you go on Facebook and you see that everybody's happy and they're celebrating these relationships and these accomplishments. It can actually lead to you feeling really depressed. And that, in turn, sets an impossible standard for happiness.
I agree, and I think when we go out in those communities we're around, sometimes we're reticent to, because people will see what's actually going on inside. Mm-hmm. And we want to present this perfect aura. And we want to say, look, I'm perfect, just like my Facebook account and my Instagram. But the reality is all of us have issues going on below the surface. And the only way to help deal with that and grow with it, fix our challenges, overcome them, is in community.
That's a great point. I mean, if we're trying to construct this representation of ourselves through social media, then, oh my goodness, this fear of possibly shattering that through your in-person contact could actually lead to people engaging in self-imposed isolation, which, of course, is going to make them feel even more lonely, and then can make them feel like they need to seek more attention through these social media spheres. And so it's really that fear of acceptance, that fear of rejection, I think, that can lead to people self-isolating or keeps them from feeling like they can get out there and interact with other people on a genuine, real level.
Yeah, and what we looked at is we wanted to find some just quick solutions that might help you as you're trying to get out of maybe that bubble and find community that fits you. I'm personally a big geek. That's what I do. And I enjoy geeky card games, and I go to geeky events.
Tell them what it is.
Okay, so I play Magic, which is a card game that gives me my Geek Platinum card. And why that's important is I spend time with these folks in small places all around the U.S. In fact, my last base, we had a number of defenders who I played with. After work, we would get together and do this. It was a great event, a great opportunity. So finding a group like that is key. I used an app called Meetup. That's just what I use. You can find something like that. And what they are is they're just small groups that come together to do an event and spend time together. It can be camping, it can be hiking, it can be geeky card games, but whatever it is that you love and enjoy, to spend that time in community with folks just like that. Another option is your base has tons of events. They do. In fact, they're just sometimes difficult to find depending on the base. There's always an app or something. I'd encourage you to find an event and just go. You might be one of 5 people there, but show up and just try to meet someone. And one other piece that had hit me, I had deployed with a unit that I was not assigned to. It was assigned to a unit sent out as a 1 deep person. That's pretty common, where we're in units that aren't our home station unit or with colleagues we already know. And I encourage you to just try to connect with those people. Sometimes it's intimidating, depending on the people we're with, to try to really connect deeply. We might be there in a specific role, we're supporting them, but I'd encourage you to also try to develop and cultivate those friendships. Do you have any other thoughts on that?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head. I mean, it's hard when you're trying to find people with similar interests, but A lot of times there are those other people out there who enjoy the same thing. And, hey, if you've got a common interest like, pro football or certain video games, you're going to find a ton of people who share that interest. But even more constrained interests. So, I don't know how popular Magic the Gathering is. But it sounds like you've been able to find people at various bases who do share that interest. Maybe had to look for them a bit more creatively or other places, but you're able to find them. It's helped with that sense of connection. And so, really, if there's a takeaway, I would say that's it. I mean, finding other people who share some of those common interests or even just common values can really go a long way to helping with that sense of connection. But I think also, there are a ton of events or things that we do throughout the unit. The mandatory fun events, right, that offer the opportunity for that sense of connection. But even within a crowd, you can still feel lonely because it comes back to how much are you investing, how much are you putting yourself out there to show people your authentic self, and then allowing them to do the same.
And on that note, I have a sign in my office, and it says, "Find your tribe and love them hard." And I think what it is whatever your tribe is, whatever that group of people you connect with, to find them and just super connect. Step out of your comfort zone, try to get some new information from them. It's a lot easier if you're a football fan or sports fan. They're everywhere. It's a little more difficult with these niche areas that we like. If it's a spirituality, find a Bible study, a local mosque, a local synagogue, somewhere that you can connect with something that resonates with you. Mm-hmm. Well, I think that might be all we've got today. Is there anything else we missed?
Well, I'm sure there's plenty of other things that people are thinking of right now just listening to us, and they're probably thinking, oh, why didn't they say this? Well, if you do have those things, please feel free to reach out to us and let us know if you have any questions, comments, or would like to talk some more about other resources. We're available for you, so you can find us on the Global.
You can also find us on Facebook, and we will have some contact information listed there as well. For now, we just want to thank you for taking time to listen to this podcast. We're going to be doing about 6 of these initially, so we're looking forward to your feedback and how we can improve them, and also any ratings you want to give us on iTunes will help as well. Any sharing you'd like to give this to other airmen you're with is also very much appreciated. For now, thank you for what you do. We appreciate everything you do. We know it's a very hard job for you and your families. You're away a lot. You work very hard, and we just want to thank you for that.